Hello and welcome. Today we are in the Tier 10 Royal Navy battleship, the Thundra. And we're playing on the map Crash Zone Alpha. It is a Tier 10 battle, technically, but most of the ships are not Tier 10. The only Tier 10 battleship on the enemy team is also a Thundra, and sadly it's a bunch of low tier battleships, which is annoying because that means there isn't that much damage to farm. But anyway, for those that don't know, Thundra is essentially what you would like to have as a Conqueror. She has essentially the same hull, but it has the legendary baked in, so that means faster turret traverse and faster rudder shift. But you don't give up the concealment upgrade slot, which means you also have better concealment. The downside is you do not have a super heal, but you do get better anti-air because you have a defensive fire. Now when it comes to guns, instead of 12 guns you have 8 of them. However, they are 457s, so they have the AP overmatch against 30mm cruisers, cruiser side plates, and they have pretty good HE. You do have a faster reload to make up for some of the fewer turrets, and you do have better accuracy. So overall, HE spam wise, I would say Thundra is about as good, maybe slightly better than the Conqueror. And AP wise, obviously Thundra is much superior because she can punish cruisers quite heavily. I am using the Cunningham Special Captain, and one of his abilities is if you get a Witherer, then your reload improves, and it's entirely possible to get a quick Witherer on the Thundra. Although usually that involves tier 10 battles with lots of tier 10 battleships, because they tend to take much more fire damage, which means you get more, or you get your Witherer faster. Thundra is not, I would say, a mainline battleship. That is, it's not a ship you go in and YOLO the enemy and tank them, etc. It is about as far as you can get from a Kremlin on another battleship. Thundra is a much more fragile battleship. Just like the Conqueror. She has a citadel that can fairly easily be hit, and all the other parts of the ship aren't like amazingly armored, but she's fast maneuverable and has a good concealment, and she ends up doing a lot of fire and HE damage, especially from range. I mean, that guy can't do anything about the fire I just set because she already has used her damage control party on the earlier fire, and I suspect she's actually going to go down very soon because she's pushing in, which is why we might wish to just focus fire. Oh, Azuma started a fire on me as well. Okay, 9k, acceptable. And she's burning multiple fires. Yeah, just a few more salvos and she's definitely gone. Let's accelerate, because I look like I'm standing still, so it'll be more difficult to predict. And another fire, hello! And yeah, she's already gone. Goodbye, Massachusetts. I guess the next target will be that Azuma over there. Or actually no, Soyuz is better, because Soyuz maneuvers less, although Soyuz does have access to the better damage control party. We have a destroyer over here, a Summers, and we have a Shimakaze or Z-52. Well, Shimakaze is on the other side, so it must be a Z-52. Oh, I actually completely missed on the Soyuz. How did that happen? Anyway, let's try to... Okay, I guess we can't try to take a shot on the Azuma, considering that she just disappeared. I'd really like to get my Witherer to improve my reload, but I think it might be better to fire AP here, unless I'm firing on the Soyuz, of course. Although, if we find the destroyer, it's always good to have HE. Okay, in fact, I want to complain a little bit about some YouTube comments, okay? Or comments I get sometimes on my videos about it's painful that you fire HE at blah blah blah, or etc., right? And something you have to consider though is that the decision to fire HE or AP has to be made 30 seconds before you fire the guns, well, about 25 on this ship. And another thing is that you have to consider ships that might potentially pop up, such as this Z-52. right? I have HE loaded, so I can easily just fire HE at the Z-52. But if I had swapped AP to, you know, fire at Azuma or Donskoy, I would probably deal much less damage to this Z-52, although I guess you can't do less than 0, huh? Since I completely missed, I suspect she started reversing away. But it still means we know where she is, and we have a Goliath pushing in. Technically have a Petropavlovsk, but I think she's out of range for radar. Okay, it would be actually quite nice to have... Oh, I just fired. That's not great. But Z-52 is out of that smoke screen, so... Summers could go and just keep spotting her now if she is so desired. Fire on the Azuma. Excellent. Azuma does not have torpedoes, so we don't really need to worry about that. That's not good. Our Bismarck got taken out by the Soyuz. Soyuz is making friends with the Donskoy. That is unfortunately not how you make more Soviet destroyers or even smaller boats. Azuma is not burning anymore, but Soyuz is. So either she uses damage control party, or she takes a whole bunch of fire damage there. I do need to worry about the fact that Z-52 has a really fast torpedo reload. I am unspotted right now, so things aren't looking grim, but it might be time to start maneuvering after the next salvo, because I do need to keep in mind that I can't turn whenever I just want, right? Because I can be punished by that Soyuz. How did I miss on the Soyuz completely again? What's going on with my aim? Okay, I'm not gonna fire now. I'm gonna just... Oh, I am spotted, which means the Z-52 is close. Therefore, I am going to turn away. I'm gonna swap to AP now. Oh, never mind, I take that back. I'm blind. I just didn't see the Bismarck over there. Also, 13,000 damage to that Azuma, just like that. This is actually a very tricky situation because I didn't notice that Bismarck, and Bismarck can also punish a Thunderer. I'm gonna swap to HE and just hope that... Ooh! Whew! Gearing, you know what? Compliment, plays well. Gearing, compliment, good manners. Thank you. You potentially just saved like 30k HP on my ship just with that one maneuver. Because I would have had to pick whether I want to get citadeled by the Soyuz or the Bismarck. Or potentially get hit by torps by the Z-52, which I suspect is going to be over there somewhere. Like, that's my guess. Okay. Wow, half my AA is dead. Luckily this isn't a CV game. This guy really likes to show broadside, so let's see if we can punish him with AP. I think I didn't lead enough. Yeah, I thought she was actually slowing down there for a bit. I'm gonna accelerate now. I'm just unused to firing at this Japanese cruiser that's this enormous. Stomach on that single fire. Hey, we did some damage. I really don't like my position right now. I think I'm gonna stop firing for a little bit. See if I can reposition. I would really like to fight that Soyuz. Half speed for the turn, swap to HE. Actually, you know what? I should be near this island and just keep firing at the Soyuz. And just see if when she, you know, switches targets to me, I should angle away. Because it would be better if I was over there with the Summers and the Goliath to help them fight and win on this side. But on the other hand, once the Soyuz goes down, this isn't gonna be a very active side to fight on anymore. Do I actually fire right now? Because Soyuz is looking in my direction, but because I haven't fired, she has trouble picking a target. I'm gonna swap to AP, because Soyuz is obviously showing side, and there's also Donskoy, which means that if I can't fire on the Soyuz, I can always just swap over to the Donskoy. Yeah, I think Soyuz is going to turn away, which makes her a poor target. Because she's a battleship still, and battleships have armor. Whereas cruisers are cruisers, and cruisers do not have armor. I expect the Donskoy to turn away. That's why I aimed slightly higher than where her predicted line would be. But no, she's actually going closer. But apparently that was still enough. So thank you for that extra consumable. That was appreciated. And I don't know, I guess we'll just fire like so. Oh, Soyuz actually did fire on me. Wonder if she's still aiming at me. Let's accelerate. Oh no, she's actually firing, I guess, the Goliath? Or hoping to get the shot on the Goliath. Oh, Thunder and Colbert both sank ships on our team just now. But we're gonna sink the Soyuz and this will cement our victory on this side of the map. Although maybe my salvo wasn't very good. Okay, no, never mind, it was good enough. Next up, Z-52. What destroyers do they have? They have... Oh, the Z-52 is their only destroyer now. Wow. Okay, Z-52, you outplayed me once. You're not gonna outplay me this time. I'm gonna hit you with one shell. I guess it's infinitely better than nothing, though. She's gonna reverse there. Or maybe she'll actually advance, because she is a Z-52. Well, I know exactly where she's going. She's going down. Azuma, my old nemesis. I'm gonna swap to EP. Just for you. Should probably use my heal. She's gonna turn away. I just know it. Well, maybe a little bit, because she does like to broadside me quite a bit, so I aimed slightly higher. Well, there goes the majority of the rest of your HP. I'm gonna damage on this fire. Although I know I'm heading towards the Thunder, etc. She's definitely gonna turn away even more this time. Azuma luckily isn't a very maneuverable ship. Oh, she's healing. Dang it. I was hoping I might be able to just sink her with this one, but probably not. Found the other Thunderer. I would really like to get behind the island from her. Oh, Belfast is too close, so we can't do that. Oh, I do not wish to be within the firing range of a Colbert. That is absolutely not my desire. Okay, at least we finished her off, but I think my days are numbered. It will be exceedingly difficult to survive a Colbert. This ship takes 1 billion damage because it has a very big superstructure, and you know, there's also the Thunderer. Come on, AP, please, Citadel! No. Non-penetration. Oh well, I think I did my part. I mean, I sank 5 of them. I did by 2 million potential. I did misplay though. As a Thunderer, you should always stay at the back and let your other ships, such as your destroyers and your cruisers and your aircraft carriers, tank for you. So I misplayed in this sense. For a Colbert, the worst ship to ever fight is a Petropavlovsk. No, I take that back. Stalingrad is worse. Number 2 is Petropavlovsk. Because Stalingrad can overmatch the bow and stern, Petro cannot. But Petro can surprise a Colbert because she has the radar range that is equal to her spotting range, so you make contact with a Petro radars and just sinks you. Whereas with the Stalingrad, you know, you'll know where she is. But whichever one it is, what that Petro just did to that Colbert is basically how it tends to go when you show broadside. And the thing is that the reason why Petra and Stalingrad are so amazingly powerful against the Colbert and Smolensk are because of the auto-bounce angles on the AP shells. You see, when a battleship fires, they have to hit you at 0 to 45 degrees to not have any chance of ricochets. 45 to 60 degrees is chance of ricochets. Stalingrad is 55 to 65 degrees of ricochets. That is, that is a ship that's angled like, I don't know, like this. Probably still gonna get regular penetration calculations. Or maybe even a ship that's like so. Whereas a regular battleship would have to be like more like so. I guess we can't actually see the battleship right now. Like this kind of an angle for a Stalingrad or Petropavlovsk would be no problem. A battleship will probably ricochet half of them, and this kind of angle should already ricochet almost everything. Except Stalingrad and Petrov can probably still penetrate. But then, you know, you do worry about the penetration values of the AP shells. So you need, essentially, you need to angle more against the Petropavlovsk and the Stalingrad. The same, by the way, goes for ships like Venezia and Minotaur. You need to angle about as perfectly as you can against those last two to be able to ricochet shells. Surprisingly, this Azuma, even though she has been broadsiding essentially the entire game, is the last ship to survive. Well, not for long, but she survived the longest. I would say that this game wasn't quite as amazing as I was hoping it would be. You know, I was hoping for more damage, but there just weren't enough tier 10 battleships to farm that. It was mostly a cruiser and destroyer fest, but hey, we got our Kraken, so we should be happy with that. And we sank to another Thunderer, so oh! We're 3 XP off of that gearing, the gearing that saved our ship. Well done, dude, by the way. Those torps saved my bacon there. The game actually could have gone quite differently if that gearing hadn't torped that Bismarck there. Right? I mean, chances are it would have been fine, because I could just turn away from the Bismarck and the Soyuz. But there would have been this uncertainty where she could have just citadeled me. I probably wouldn't have died, but I couldn't have played as aggressively as I did. And that might have changed the result of the game, but hey. I tanked 143k damage, this is quite acceptable, 110k of it with HE. 55k from that Azuma, plus the flares I suspect, yep, 65k. If I had been a Conqueror, I probably would have been fine, because I would have still had a lot of HP to go. But Conqueror isn't quite the same, I probably wouldn't have done the same damage. Look at this. 66k with the AP, 78k with the HE, but you have to add the fire to the HE damage. Thunder is amazing. She is, I would say, the best tier 10 battleship in the game. Because she can contribute at any time, right? Like, she has the 457 AP shells to be able to overmatch 30mm cruisers. She has the insane HE salvos that very frequently start fires, and she's also accurate. And on top of that, she has good concealment. Look at it, 12.3 kilometer concealment on a battleship with a 10-second rudder shift. But again, you know, the downside is the armor. 32mm, 32, 32, and the citadel sits above the waterline. Right there. You know, this is significantly above the waterline, and it's quite long too. So it's not that difficult to citadel her. It's exactly the same as the Conqueror is. You know, I think Conqueror used to be much stronger than she is now. I think her citadel nerf was absolutely deserved, and that was a point I had made to Wargaming many times, and I guess the community, but she was much stronger back then, because you couldn't citadel her from the broadside because the citadel just sat really low in the water. But now it doesn't. And so these ships can be appropriately punished when they get caught out of position, which I think is how the game should be. You know, a ship that has powerful firepower and other powerful mechanics such as good concealment and maneuverability, they need to have some weakness, and a fragile broadside, in terms of armoring, is exactly it. Oh, I got another karma point. Nice. Very nice people. So let's go over the upgrades and commander skills that I use. So obviously priority target, as always. Then adrenaline rush. Well, I guess you might want to go with expert marksman, because you probably are going to share this captain with the Conqueror. Then superintendent, Concealment Expert, then Fire Prevention, and last 2 points Expert, or last 3 points Expert Loader and Jack of all Trades, because this allows you to damage on faster and heal faster. Upgrades wise, it is pretty standard. The reload upgrade, then the concealment upgrade. Now I have considered maybe the propulsion mod here would be nice to have, but I don't know. On the Conqueror, this is a no-brainer. Obviously go with propulsion because you have your super heal. But on the Thunderer, I think damage control is the better choice unless you have basics of survivability. In the third slot, aiming systems. In the second slot, I don't know. I think I'd usually go for damage control, but I don't know why I had this defensive fire. I suppose for the faster reload on it, but I don't think it's worth it. Even though this might only be 5% and 3%, right? It'll still probably make a bigger difference than the defensive fire one, because in how many games, like, you don't get CVs in every game, and on top of that, in those games where you do get a CV, how often do you get attacked by a CV multiple times in a row where you don't have defensive fire quite up in time for the second attack, but if you had this, you would have it up in time. I think the number of games that this happens is quite low. Then main arms modification 1, obviously, because you don't want your main batteries to break, and none of the other things really make sense. So overall, I think the Thunder is an amazing ship, and while I might have got a Kraken in this one, I don't think it really even showcased the strengths of the ship well this time. It was mostly just, I don't know, a more average-ish game. You know, a few games ago I actually had a salvo on a Yamato that did 16k alpha, and then, you know, there was the fire damage too on top of that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons and Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.